Hello everybody, welcome back to the newest edition of the Talking Wolves podcast. My name is Dave and today I'm alongside Mr. Matthew Cooper. Matt, how's it going, man?
Yeah, not too bad, thanks mate. How are you? You enjoying your lockdown?
Yeah, trying to keep myself busy, as I'm sure everyone is. Obviously, guys, hope you are keeping safe at home, or if you're at work as well, fair play. But today we're going to be talking about, obviously, what's been going on, what is going to happen with football. We've got a little bit on player news and stuff as well that we're going to be discussing, and of course, a couple of questions from you guys at home as well. If you've ever got any questions, let us know in the comment section down below. If you agree, disagree, or you've got anything ever to add to obviously what we're saying, or if you're listening obviously on Spotify and iTunes, drop us a tweet or post at Talking Wolves on Instagram, Facebook and Twitter. And as always, today's podcast is brought to you by our sponsors at Pitch Football, the app. You can download the app on the App Store or the Play Store. Fantastic football app to go and check out. You can log in and it's got all your fan views on there. There's a fan time as well where we normally upload a video and get reaction off you guys. And obviously when the football's on as well, you can pick your predicted 11 for a match. So a really good app to go and check out as always on your App Store or your Play Store. But Matt, I mean, we've been waiting for how long now? Obviously still no definitive date for any sort of football at the moment, which is pretty frustrating, but obviously understandable at the same time as well. The last Wolves game, which obviously we've not really been able to have a big discussion about, was that game against Olympiacos, and that just seems a world away at the moment, doesn't it?
I couldn't even tell you what the game was like. But even that game, like it felt like
it was a bit of a non-event almost.
Yeah, it was just like, oh, what's just happened? It was just obviously it was right before everything got locked off and the decision was made that the Europa League would be postponed and stuff. It was silly and reckless from UEFA to let that game go ahead, despite Wolves' concerns and attempts to postpone it. UEFA went ahead with it, which again was a little bit reckless, but no one was really affected at Wolves. So you know it's lucky really, because I know like players such as Campana have had it and he reckons he's caught it from his mother, but it could have been a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, I know, and it was surprising that I was adamant really that would be postponed, and then obviously the lads travelled, and then they were talking about it again. I thought, how bad is this going to be if they postpone this when Wolves were already in Greece? But obviously the game happened. Fortunately for Wolves, we got an away goal. We got something out of the game at least. So, but who knows when that second leg is going to be? But obviously we'll discuss that a little bit more. A couple of days ago, obviously, before we recorded this podcast, I put a few polls out on the Talking Wolves Twitter account. I put them up for quite a short time, so there wasn't a huge amount of votes, but still a decent amount. And obviously, those votes and stuff were based around what we're going to be talking about today. So, first real topic is mine and Matt's opinion on how the season should be decided. So, there has been so many different opinions and different ways that possibly the FA and Premier League have been looking at to try and complete the season. Everywhere from sort of the conference down has now been, I don't know how they've called it, but it's basically void. So none of the results have counted now. So big blow for some of the lower league teams that were already promoted. The Wolves women as well were having an unbelievable season, and their season now is almost non-existent, which is a massive shame. And I've seen all sorts of scenarios, but the three options really I gave for this, Matt, were either to void the season, so obviously for the season to be cancelled and we start again afresh next year, to continue and try and complete the season when we can, or finish the season as it is. So everyone's position at the moment is final, or maybe even an average points per game thing. What's your sort of stance on it?
I mean, ideally, you don't want anyone to come up from the Championship. You want the bottom three in the Premier League to go down, and you want the top six in the Premier League to get Champions League in an ideal world. But you've got to finish the season. There's financially, there's just too much riding on it. I think clubs would have to pay back in the region of £670 million between them to broadcasters overseas. Now, these broadcasters aren't going to want to kill the golden goose, and they're not going to, cut the nose off to spite the face in terms of a relationship with the Premier League and stuff. But they've got a contract and they've agreed a service, and at the minute the Premier League and the Premier League clubs haven't delivered on it. I know it's not their fault, but you've got to see the season out, whether that's behind closed doors or whatnot. I think the priority is to get that sorted. Forget about the 2021 season. We can plan ahead with that. We've just got to finish this season, get it out of the way, and Yeah, I don't think you can stop. I don't think you can stop it and just say these are your places, because I know you're saying like points per game and stuff. But if you look what's happened in the Scottish leagues, apart from the Scottish Premier League, clubs who've got a game in hand have been relegated. It's sickening.
I've seen that. That's ridiculous.
It's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, and I mean, there have been obviously a couple of clubs that have asked for it maybe to be void or started again. In particular, the teams that have probably underachieved, really. The
It was
teams
Karen
that have asked
Brady, wasn't it? She was,
Karen Brady, and I said, should start the season afresh. And then I saw someone say, well, if you want to start the season afresh, you need to reappoint Manuel Pellegrini and stuff like that, to start as the season was. But yeah, I think that'd be obviously pretty difficult to do. I know Spurs were, I don't know how true that was, but Spurs, and it might have been just Spurs fans that I saw talking about it. And Villa, I think, had a say in it as well. But it's not surprising, really, to say that the teams that want this season to be restarted or void are those teams that are probably not quite living up to their expectations. But I think in Wolves' scenario, I think whatever scenario it is, if you ignore the finances for a second, if we're actually talking about the football side of things, Wolves are in a pretty decent position, aren't they? Because we finished in a good position last year, which would mean we'd probably play Europa League football if they did void it. And we're in a great position this year, obviously, if they sort of finish the season and whatnot.
Would you be happy with going through the groups, the qualifications for the Europa League though again next season?
Oh God, it was a bit of a nightmare, wasn't it?
It's odds law though, isn't it? This is probably, especially certainly in my lifetime, Wolves' most successful season to date. I know we've not won anything, but we're into the quarterfinals or nearly in the quarterfinals of European competition. We're sixth in the league. We are sixth, aren't we? So it's just odds law, isn't it, that something like this would happen, but. I've seen people saying, well, just give Liverpool the title and then be done with it. But it's got to be consistent throughout. If you're awarding Liverpool with a title, you've then not obviously got to relegate clubs. You can't just give it to, all right, there are how many points in front and they are deserved winners. No one can take that away from them. But it's got to be consistent throughout the league. Not sure about the Championship and stuff like that. I don't really look at tin pot leagues as such anymore. But with the Premier League, it's you can't just award Liverpool the title and then not relegate people, or have two people come up and not have any relegation. It's got to be consistent throughout. Every club's got their own point to put forward though, but it's obviously they're all putting it forward as to what would benefit them the most. You've got Norwich saying, we'll just start the season again. Well, of course you would, because you're rooted to the bottom of the table.
Yeah, exactly. And I think as far as I'm aware, all the clubs are in agreement that we've got to try and finish this campaign. And going back to what you said as well about the Europa League qualification, that's going to be an absolute nightmare for next season. I think it's such a small gap between potentially finishing this current season and for when they want to start the next season, which is obviously going to be the 2021 season. That qualification, I'm unsure how they're going to do that. And even the Europa League now, if we're going to be finishing the season, maybe it looks like between June and July. And I think they've set the Europa League date for the end of August, haven't they? The final.
Yeah.
And obviously the semi-final and quarter-final to be taking place in the weeks before.
I saw people saying, well, they've got to cancel the Europa League and Champions League, but UEFA aren't going to move Euro 2020. They're not going to move the Euros in favour to conclude domestic campaigns and then not get to conclude their club competitions. They're just not going to do it. So that moving UEFA Euro 2020 to 2021 was in mind to make room for the termination and conclusion of the Europa League and Champions League. And you know what? Fair enough, because we've still got a very, very good chance of progressing and still a good chance of winning it, dare I say it.
Yeah, I agree with that. And then if we look in terms of the poll that we put up, so the three options, as I said, were to void the season, to continue the season to try and get it finished, or finish as it is, to continue and complete the season at a massive 75% of the vote, compared to 13.2% who said void the season and 11.3% which said finish it as it is. But that moves us on to the next point, really, about the football season. Of course, we saw that game against Olympiacos, which was behind closed doors, and it was almost difficult to watch that, wasn't it, Matt? It was it just didn't seem right. And I watched the Manchester United game against, I think it was Lask just before. And it was I can't even know. It was almost as if you were playing like FIFA on career mode and doing a training match. It was just so weird having no atmosphere there, wasn't it?
It was. I think if the Premier League for me is the most entertaining and the best league in the world, and I think with a bit of forward thinking and a bit of planning, rather than making a decision 2 days before the fixture goes ahead, I think they could make it a bit more of a spectacle and a little bit more entertaining. It's never going to be as entertaining with a stadium full of people chanting and whatnot, but the most important thing is finishing this season, and then obviously making it an entertainment. It comes second for me. We just need to finish it because we are running out of time. But then again, they might have to move the 2021 season back. But I think if they work with the broadcasters closely, they could do it behind closed doors. But it's going to be a strange one. But because if the games do go ahead, you're going to need medical teams on site. You're going to need like an ambulance on standby, like they always have to. Whereas the NHS's resources are already stretched enough as it is. So how are you going to work through that? Are you going to be social distancing with players in the club, or broadcasters, press? Who gets access? Are they tested on site? Are they taken into quarantine? It's. I'm just glad I'm not making the decisions.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think, as you say, I think the priority for the Premier League, FA, UEFA, whoever, obviously is going to be everyone's safety. Like you say, I think with the medical staff there, that's a very, very valid point.
I think Doherty's been social distancing all season. I think. Only joking. Only joking.
You have to get at least one Cody or Doc.
No, I like them both, mate. I just know it winds people up. So.
I said that I was playing Football Manager yesterday, and one of my players just completely left his man. I thought, I think I've been like 15 years in. I said, we meant to stop social distancing 15 years ago.
It's just a tapping and it's just easy banter.
Yeah. But I think it is for a football fan bad. But I think their plan initially, when they were hoping to continue the football, when obviously we sort of went on lockdown, was to play every game behind closed doors. And I believe they were going to be having all these matches televised. So in terms of broadcasters, I think they were quids in really because they had literally all these games at their disposal. I think the Football League games are going to be played on the players that they have online as well. So I think, season ticket holders and fans are going to get access to that. But I think possibly even I'm going to crash into one of the Q&A questions that we had as well. You go into then how do you reimburse season ticket holders, which we will talk about later on. And there's just so many variables that it is going to be interesting to see how they approach it. I think, again, on something that I read earlier on before the podcast, they're projecting, fingers crossed, that sporting events and bigger areas are going to start to reopen by sort of second week of June, which hopefully will then allow us to possibly go to Molineux and watch these games as well. So
I think that's a bit optimistic though. I can't see it happening, but I don't think the club will refund how many games left at home for, maybe 5.
No, they'll just take it. Well, the thing is they'll take it off next season's, but then that makes it difficult because odds law they were going to up the prices anyway. So how do they get around that? They can't say, right, this is the price. Oh, it's the same as last year. Yeah, that's because we've put it up by X amount, and you missed out on 3 or 4 home games there. So
going back to the revenue they get from TV broadcasts, it's not just that as well. I mean, you look at all the LED advertising around the pitch and stuff. I'm pretty sure that they're tied in on seasonal basis. Now like I said, they're not going to kill the golden goose and completely cut ties with the football clubs in the Premier League because they'd be daft to, but they're contracted in. They're still going to want to get their exposure. They're going to want to get these games finished. Same with shirt sponsors as well. It's a tricky one. It really is. I can't see the club refunding people for season tickets. So like you said, it'll just be, here's some money off next season, but by the way, we're putting them up by 300 quid.
That'll be what it's like. Yeah. But yeah, I think a lot of it is down to finances, isn't it? I think. Yeah. But that's what football's about. I read an article that Wolves, if say for argument's sake the season was cancelled, the club would lose out on about £48 million coming in. A massive chunk, probably 8 or 9 tenths of that was
was
off broadcasting rights.
Yeah, and match day as well. Match day revenue is still a big, on the corporate side of things and the commercial side of things. So people are still probably buying merchandise and stuff. Maybe not as much because people haven't got as much disposable income, etc. But the match day is still a big revenue. It's not the be all and end all anymore, but it's still it's still a big chunk, and it's got to be paid for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. So I think that is obviously one that I think we're both in agreement. Really, if the season needs to be finished before it's safe for bigger events to happen, I think we're both in agreement that we'd be okay for it to be complete behind closed doors, right?
Yeah, I'm happy for it to be. I mean, ideally, it would all be at Molineux tomorrow, but
yeah,
the safety of fans, players, staff is paramount. And I can't remember who it was, but he said like in the amongst all insignificant things, football is the most significant, and I think that's quite telling at the minute. It's not important, but to me and you and a lot of other people, it is the be all and end all. So hopefully we can get it back and it can start bringing a bit of joy to people.
It's true though. Like people go to work Monday to Friday, and the only 2 days they have off is a Saturday and Sunday, and it's because of your football. So this does football. People revolve their lives around Wolves and football, and spend a lot of money as well. Yeah. So rightly so, they're obviously
saving a lot of money as well at the minute.
Yeah. Off European games and stuff like that. So it's an interesting one, but on the poll, it was a massive 82% said they wouldn't mind watching games behind closed doors, and 17% said no, they would rather obviously be able to go and watch the games. Which brings us on, really. I mean, I don't know if there's anything else that you want to touch on with the whole sort of lockdown, isolation thing at the moment with what's going on, or we can move on to the next subject.
What's the next subject?
It's about players. It's about, again, sort of financial things and something that's going to crop up out of contract players.
I think FIFA have granted extensions, though, haven't they?
Yeah. So I think that is going to be if needed. I think because obviously that was going to be a massive sort of issue possibly. Wolves don't have a massive amount, to be fair. I think there's 4 players that I know of note really that we're going to be talking about quickly. And I do have some information on those as well. So Max Kilman, John Ruddy, Brighton Ibakari, and I believe Jordan Graham as well. We'll start off with Graham and Ibakari, Matt, because obviously we're both going to have a much bigger opinion on Kilman and Ruddy anyway. Graham out on loan at the moment, I believe, at Gillingham. I can't see him returning to Wolves, though, can you?
I just can't believe he's still there. No, not because it just... See, he seems to have been there for years and going out to different clubs. And I know he's had injuries and stuff, but he's had so many loan spells. You forget he's there. Same with Bright, really. I think Bright was a talent, but he's just fallen by the wayside, hasn't he? So I can't see them giving him an extra year because they've got the option, haven't they, to do so?
I think so, yeah, for Bright.
And then cash in because they've probably tried to cash in already, and it's probably not financially viable right now, especially with what's going on. So I think they'll just let him go. I don't think they'll gamble and try and get 500k for him. I just think they'll just rather get him off the books.
Yeah, I think obviously with Graham at the moment, it's just been injuries that have let him down. Had a great start, obviously, when he came to the first team.
Brilliant.
Under Kenny Jackett, wasn't it? Had a couple of injuries. Had the odd game as well. Even I think when obviously Nuno came in, I think everyone was hoping that maybe he could play as like a wing back. I think he did have 1 or 2 games, definitely not in the league.
Yeah, it didn't suit him at all.
No. And obviously then he was shipped out. But yeah, surprised that he's still there. I think that he'll go. Bright is an interesting one. On one hand, it wouldn't surprise me that Wolves offered him another extension because I think a large percentage of fans can see there's something there. And he was pretty regular, early Nuno days. He was a pretty regular player. I'm pretty sure he started a number of the early games when a couple of players, I think Cavallero was suspended, wasn't he, if I'm right?
Yeah.
In the early games.
Because he headbutted someone at Derby, didn't he?
Yeah, last game of the season. So Bakari sort of took his place there. So he's played a lot of games under Nuno, but I think the fact that Nuno's almost, he went out on loan to Coventry, had loaned at Wigan, was it St Johnstone as well he was at, and the last 2 haven't really gone to plan. I think for Brighton, his career, obviously he rejected a move to Birmingham as well in January.
Top shit housery, don't I write that?
Yeah,
Same with Dadashov.
And Dadashov, yeah. I think he needs... Championship, I think, is almost, at the moment, whenever he's been out on loan there, he's not played much. I think he needs a solid couple of years in League One. And he smashed it at Coventry. He did really, really well.
Yeah, my mate's
for a
big
player that's
Cov
still
fan,
young.
and he said, like, apart from James Maddison, and he mentioned one other player, but I can't remember who it was. He was like, Enebakar was one of the best players I've seen down there. Callum Wilson, it was. He said, apart from Maddison and Wilson, he's the best player we've had in years.
Yeah,
they were gutted when he couldn't come back.
Yeah, and I think obviously he smashed it there. And I think if he can get another couple of good years there, or not just there, but I think in League One in general, I think that'll do wonders for his career really. And he's still young, isn't he?
He's got the natural talent of being able to beat someone, and I think it's a great attribute to have. But I don't know if it's his application or his attitude or whatnot. I mean, I don't know. I don't work with him. I've not coached him, but it's hard to tell. He seems a bit of an elusive character. You can't really work out what he's thinking or what he's doing. Bit enigmatic, isn't he? So I don't know. I don't know what the problem is there.
Yeah, and I think as I say, I think a lot of people can see that there is talent there, but there's just something. And I know a lot of people are probably thinking right now that game against Manchester City in the Carabao Cup as well is going to be one of them. And then obviously the two first team players we've got there is Max Kilman and John Ruddy. Now, as far as I'm aware, I've learned after we put those questions out, Max Kilman, like I think you said a number of times as well, wouldn't be playing without Wolves signing him up to a contract. So I believe he has signed a new contract, but for some reason or another, the club has not posted about it.
Yeah, it's the same with Sasawi, wasn't it? There's no way he'd be playing in the Europa League if he hadn't signed a new deal.
Yeah. So
stupid.
As soon as far as I'm aware, he's signed a new deal, but for some reason it's not publicly out there yet. And John Ruddy has been offered a new deal, but obviously it's whether he again wants to continue being a number two. The thing is with John Ruddy, Matt, I think he's a great option to have as a number two. I think a lot of people are still worried if he was in between the sticks for a couple of games. I know a percentage of fans actually, do like him a lot as well. He was good for most part of that championship winning campaign. What do you think for Ruddy? Can he play first team in the Premier League for not necessarily for Wolves but for another team, or do you think if he wants first team football he's going to have to go back down to the Championship?
I don't know, because we've barely seen anything of him in the past couple of years, and when we have, he's not been great. So it's hard to say. If you take him from the Championship season, then probably he'd say yeah. But that was 2 seasons ago now, so you don't know. He's going to be rusty. He needs to be playing, especially at that age. So I don't know, but do you bother getting rid of him and bringing in someone on maybe a little...
No one's going to topple Patricio, are they, short term? No one is going to topple him.
I wouldn't want them to. There's not many keepers who are better than him. There are. I don't think he's world class. I think he's just short of it. But to bring someone in with some Ruddy's experience and influence on the dressing room, because he's been there since the promotion winning season, I don't think you'd be able to get it. And I think Ruddy's on a fair whack as well a week for a backup keeper. But if you bring someone else in, they're going to want, I'd say someone like Scott Carson or something like that, someone similar who called upon could do a job. Because I still think Scott Carson's a good keeper, but they're going to want money. They have to sit on the bench. They're going to want to sign in on fee. Not sure if Man City would want to transfer. Is he on loan from Derby, or did they sign him?
I think they signed him.
Yeah, I bet you couldn't believe his luck. That's what I'm saying. That's the kind of people you got to be going after. Or you sign someone young and try and blood them in. But Patricio is probably going to be our number one for another 3 or 4 years. So, the shelf life of a goalkeeper is a lot longer than, say, a central midfielder. So, I'd like to see Sondergaard given a chance, but again, he needs to be playing as well. So it is a bit of a tough one. It seems that Will Norris has fallen off the face of the fucking planet. So I just don't know.
Yeah.
Don't know. It's a tough one, but this is where the recruiters and sporting directors, when we do appoint one, earn the stripes.
Yeah, so I agree with you there. I think he could, for a lower Premier League team, maybe he could go
back to Norwich.
I think I was about to say Norwich is a team. I think they still hold him in pretty high regard there. I think it's Bennett that they
don't like.
If I'm as far, yeah.
Surprising,
I think out of the two, yeah. But I know the England goalkeeper situation is probably stronger than it's been in recent years. But there's still, it's still not decided who the England number one is. I'm not saying John Ruddy is the best English goalkeeper, but all he needs to do, genuinely, if he got into a Premier League team and had a good spell, he could be getting England call-ups again. So for him personally, really, it's what he wants to do with his career. He's coming towards the latter stages, or possibly just end of his prime, or for a goalkeeper, prime can be any point from your 30s to 40s. Really, we've seen in recent years. So it's really for him personally what he wants to do. Does he want to play football? Is he settled in Wolverhampton? Is he okay being at a Premier League club as a number two, as almost like a mentor or a tutor? As you say, a good body in the dressing room. I think that's an interesting one. But as I say, as far as I'm aware, he has been offered a new contract. It's just up to him now whether he wants to be a number two.
He's got to look at what motivates him and what he wants to do with the rest of his career. Does he, like you said, is he happy to sit on the bench, or does he want to go and pursue first team football again and get back playing? It's a tough one. He's got a family to think about as well. I'm sure he won't be short of money, but it's I can't see him getting what he's on at Wolves elsewhere. He's on around 30k a week, isn't he? 25k a week, something like that.
I'd say something like that.
Yeah, I don't think he'd get that elsewhere.
Yeah, that's the I think it's personal preference really. I think he's a capable goalkeeper. Could probably get top half Championship easy, possibly even bottom half Premier League. But for him, there would be no point in leaving Wolves unless he was guaranteed first team football. But obviously that's one to keep our eye on. And obviously Max Kilman as well. As far as we're aware, he should be signing a new contract if he hasn't already, which I'm sure he has. But he's had the occasional minutes this season, and for a kid that's never played top flight football or European football before, he's fitted in pretty well, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's still got a lot to prove. I think he needs to work on his physicality a bit. Or he's a big lad, but I think he needs to fill out a bit more.
Or bulk out a bit more.
Yeah, but he reads the game really well. Obviously, his futsal background has given him good feet and good footwork. So to bring him in, was it Maidenhead they brought him from?
Someone like that. I can't think like I think it was someone
to scout
like
him and to bring him through. And I mean, he's not been there that long, has he? I think it just shows that it's just great work by the club, and of course you'd sell him on for a profit. But I'd like to see him given a bit more game time whenever he goes out on loan. Not quite sure if he's good enough to be where Wolves want to be. That's not saying that he's a bad player. I just think Wolves' ambitions are towards top 4 Champions League. Is he going to be that kind of player? It's too hard to say, but from what I've seen so far, I don't think so. But he's still been a really, really good player, and he's been great backup. He's come in ahead of Bennett as well in the pecking order, which I think just is testament to him. Bennett's got over 100 Premier League appearances, and Kilman's ahead of him. So fair play to the lad if he keeps working at his game, and who knows? But yeah, he would have been tied down to a new contract, you suspect.
Yeah, I agree. I'm actually I really like Kilman. I think he's a good player. Obviously, we've seen him on the left all right. I think obviously the games that we've seen him, haven't been huge pressure on us. A couple of European games though, which obviously you still expect are going to be difficult games, which he's done really well in. I could even see him possibly in the middle of a back three. I think with his technicality and obviously like you say, he's a tall guy, but possibly not. He's not huge in terms of
needs to fill out
size.
A little bit,
Yeah, but I think with his technique and stuff, he could possibly possess some of the passing traits that Cody has got. Not saying he's going to be able to ping 50, 60 yard balls every game. I've not seen enough of him to say that, but I think he's definitely got something about him. And as you say, what a coup that was from the Wolves scouts. And again, another player, another young Englishman, another player that's going to fill that homegrown quota.
Has he got a Russian descent?
Apparently, but I don't know how true that is. Football Manager told me that, and I looked at that and I was there like, I don't know. I think I've removed that from the game because he started playing for Russia in someone's save. So I'll have to have a word, see if I can message him and find out.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's a cracking player, and anyone English for me, anyone English, you play 5, 6, 7, 8 good games in the Premier League. If he ever breaks into the league squad, you're in with a shout, man. Match of the day, all of you. The pundits love you. The press start to love you.
He had 2 good games against Chelsea and Spurs.
And he was the next best thing, wasn't he?
This guy, he's going to be the next Gerrard again, falling off the face of the earth. So It does show. As an England player, though, you only need to have a good first touch, and then you get so many plaudits. So
yeah.
And pressure too.
In terms of the poll, though, the votes were I put of Kilman, because the three players that I put on the poll were Kilman, Ruddy, or Bright. I put just Kilman and Ruddy, all three or other. And someone has voted other, but no one's put anything. But Kilman got 38% of the vote. Kilman and Ruddy got 52% of the vote, which is the winner. And only 7% of the voters think all three should get a new contract. Someone in the comments put John Ruddy effing deserves it as well.
Not quite sure what he warrants that on, but no, he's not paid, has he?
Yeah.
He's probably going to want a pay rise, isn't he?
Yeah. Well, you're probably not far wrong there, to be honest. But that is all of our main topics, really. We're going to be talking quickly now. We've got a lot of questions to run through. A lot, again, as always, as we always do, about transfers as well. But we'll try our best to answer as many as we can. We've got two on regarding the redevelopment of the stadium. That's from Joshua Ellis, who says any more news on the redevelopment of the Steve Bull stand, and Andrew Willis as well, saying, do we know if the club are still progressing with the redevelopment of Molineux, or is it now on the back burner? As far as I'm aware, the main redevelopment, i.e. the stands, is on the back burner. It definitely won't be done this summer, especially with what's going on now, so it's probably a good job. And I think there's still no more agreements with the council on what's going to happen. You may have seen the club are looking to install, I think it's still got to be approved, install a temporary stand here between the South Bank and the Steve Bull stand, which will be like a 500-seater, sort of similar, I believe, to the Graham Hughes stand.
It's going to look shit, isn't it, that? It's going to look... We're going to have more temporary stands than a Ryder Cup if we're not careful.
I really don't understand how it... I understand how it's going to work, but obviously you've got the big TV there and stuff.
They're moving it back, aren't they? They're going to put another one in behind. They're going to take that down and then attach a video wall to the back of the temporary stand, but I don't know. It just seems a bit like round peg square holes. I know they're trying to maximise capacity, but I don't know. It just seems a bit tin pot, doesn't it? I know commercially it's the right thing to do, but it's just going to... I don't know.
They must think, like, financially, say, what's an average ticket price? Like 35, 40 quid? And then
call it 25, so
if you say an average of 25 quid, you should sell out. So an extra 12,500 quid a game. If you times that by 19 Premier League games, you're making almost $250,000 just off Premier League games there, which isn't bad income, to be fair.
Probably not going to cost that much to put in either, because it's just...
Nah, definitely not.
I mean, I'm not an architect or anything, but it's not exactly like they're building a new stand, is it?
I think in terms of that, obviously for the club financially, it's a good idea. Great opportunity for fans that can't normally get a ticket. You know, it's 500 extra opportunities. The only thing I don't quite like about it, especially with me sitting in the South Bank, is the fact that obviously the lower Steve Bull is where I tend to like the away fans, just in terms to create more atmosphere around the ground. I know as an away fan it is dreadful there, but I'm thinking if you've got an extra 500 people there, the chances are, you know, they might not put the away fans there, but I think in terms of capacity, the bigger clubs will have to still be at the bottom of Steve Bull, so it'll be interesting to see how that works.
It'll be tasty, that.
Yeah,
it get very tasty. I think the council are dragging the heels a little bit, though, aren't they, on the full redevelopment of Molineux?
But I don't understand why, though, because
they need to be careful, because Folkestone will just fuck off somewhere else.
Yeah, and I think we've probably said it plenty of times on this podcast that Wolves is one of the main things, and probably the reason 90% of people come into Wolverhampton City Centre. And you've got people. Yeah, you've got people like yourselves. You've got people like, obviously, Finn, who's part of us. They're from outside of Wolverhampton, and the club is bringing people into the city. So I'm surprised. I don't know if, obviously, we don't know the full story. Fosun might be being really awkward about it as well. But I'm surprised the city and the council aren't really, you know, playing ball a lot more. I'm not sure if we mentioned it before. Obviously, the Steve Bull stand, as far as I'm aware, they were going to do it in two phases, the lower and the upper. So again, that stand might not even be done now for another 3 to 5 years. So
need to hurry up though, because the foundations are sinking, aren't they? The Steve Bull. It's an eyesore though. I remember when I was doing a bit of filming for.
The outside just looks crap, doesn't it? It looks dreadful.
Podcast trying, and I was just like, it was all dead. There's no one outside, and I was for, God, this looks horrible. You know, just...
Like the North Bank, if you were outside the North Bank, and even the Billy Wright, they look quite nice, don't they? But yeah, the Steve Bull, it looks like an office block from the outside, doesn't it?
It's horrible.
It's just,
Plus, they've got
great.
stuff with the turnstiles as well, where the queues are horrendous. It's just a nightmare. It's just an absolute eyesore, and if they can get rid of it as soon as possible, because it's a tip.
Yeah. Tyler FT25 says, if the season continues, what position do you think we'll finish?
I think 6th or 7th. I don't think we're going to break into the top 5. And I don't think 5th will get us European Champions League football anyway, because you know how leaky UEFA are and incompetent. Man City will be able to appeal it successfully. So I think 6th or 7th. Ideally 6th. Really don't want to be doing bloody loads of qualifications again for Europa League. Although it's good fun, I think the novelty will wear off next season if we're doing all that again.
Yeah, I agree. So yeah, I think probably 6th or 7th as well. To be fair, love to be in Europe again next season. I think I agree with you. I'm not sure, especially with how tight the schedule of fixtures is going to be. I think the qualification might be a bit difficult. Same question again. Well, same person, Tyler, says, if the season stopped now, who would you give the Wolves Player of the Season to?
Ooh, tough one. Jimenez, Zadama. Case for Cody.
Neves, Patricia.
Neves has had a slow start, didn't he? I think it'd have to be. I think he'd just have to be Adama in terms of impact. I know, again, the past month or two, or whenever we were playing, his shoulder was playing him up, but he's been a real danger man consistently throughout the season. So I'd have to give it to him. But Jimenez has been really good as well. So it's a tough one. Moutinho has also been good, but I think again the past month or two he's slowed up a little bit. So I think Adama for me. What about you?
I'd probably say Adama, but I think in terms of players that are just would be lost without, it's probably Jimenez. And I think he's just got that much impact on the team. And like when I'm searching for Wolves news, like every other story is now about him, and obviously stories about clubs that are interested or supposedly touting him. And he's just one of the most complete forwards and complete players I think Wolves have ever had. Watching some of his goals, like it's just unbelievable. So I think I'm going to give it to Jimenez. And
you see, Gundogan at City saying I could see myself in Michelle Keegan. Gundogan, it's how going to happen, son.
Yeah.
Not with Aguero there. What and Jesus. I know they want to get order open to get rid of Jesus, but he ain't going to get in ahead of Aguero.
Yeah. We had a question on Instagram off Horton018. That was Oliver Horton. He's pretty much asked what we've already covered regarding how we see the season finishing and how we start next season. But a question I'm going to use to sort of twist it. Obviously, if we do go next season and it starts a little bit later, but you've still got the Euros, what do you think would have to be done for the season to be completed a little bit quicker? Do you think the League Cup should be axed, or what's your quick sort of stance on that? Put you on the spot.
I don't know, you say the League Cup will be axed, but I'm sure Carabao are probably tied in.
That's why I was going to...
Mate, finances are ruling the roost at the minute. He's got to consider everything. Maybe...
Small midweek fixtures maybe, but then it's Europe that makes it a bit difficult.
I really don't. He scrapped the winter break. I'd have to go.
Oh God, yeah, that was a thing, wasn't it?
But then you got like World Cup qualifiers and stuff. So internationals are gonna have to play. You got the bloody Nations League. It's gonna.
Do you think winter break? How long was it? About 2 weeks?
Yeah.
Or 2 weekends free?
Yeah, but one week you played.
Okay.
So it's essentially
you axe that and you have one game and one midweek game. You've got an extra 2 games. We've got to try and fit 9 games in. Would you say? I'm sure I think there'll just be a lot more
like
midweek.
A festival of football where there's a game every day for like 2 weeks.
Yeah, but you're playing like every 1 to 3 days or something like that.
Yeah, but how good would that
every
be?
3 days. That would be unreal.
It would be quality.
From the 20th of December until the 5th of Jan or something like that.
They can have Christmas Day off, that's fair enough. But you want a game on Christmas Eve, that'd be super.
Oh, God, how good would that... Mate, I still remember 27th of December, obviously the year just gone was City. It didn't really feel like Christmas then, but that was unbelievable, man. Like, imagine if that game, still the same result, was on Boxing Day. I don't know, man. I think that would be just iconic. I think it's just a bit crap that it was on the 27th.
So you play on the 20th, or say you play on the 21st, you play on Christmas Eve, there's 2 games. You play on Boxing
So
Day.
you've got the 22nd and 23rd off, so you still got a decent break there.
Boxing Day or the day after, so 26th or 27th.
Yeah.
Then you play a
29th.
game on 29th, and then you play
and
a
then
game
New
on
Year's
New
Day.
Year's Day. There's 5 or
We've
6
cracked
games.
it.
There you go.
We've cracked it.
There we go. We've smashed it. There's your answer.
There's your answer.
And shorten the League Cup down to like maybe not as many rounds. Same with the FA Cup.
Yeah, they could try and do something like that. Yeah, the FA Cup's going to be weird next season because their qualifying rounds start for that really early, don't they? Yeah. For like the really, really low non-league teams. But I think a lot of teams like that will probably possibly even pull out due to lack of finances.
But then again, it's a double-edged sword, isn't it? Because a lot of lower league clubs rely
on that, don't they? Yeah,
it's fucked, mate.
We do not envy the person who has to make all these decisions.
No, but they earn enough money, so.
Yeah. Again on Instagram, Mitch Roberts. Do you think we'll be given any discount off season tickets next season if the rest of the games are played behind closed doors? That was the question I was talking about earlier.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So we think, if games are behind closed doors, the club will probably either give it. I think they'll either give it to you as Wolves cash, which means money's not actually going out the club, but you have to buy like a Wolves shirt or spend it on coach travel or something like that. Or they will put it against your season ticket for next season, but I think they'll put it up, so it'll barely make a massive difference, really. So you will not get it back as... Yeah, I don't think... I think people are expecting to get it straight back in their bank account, which will never in a million years happen. It'll be as Wolves cash or impacted against next season's...
They take about 3 weeks to process a refund anyway, so...
Yeah. Go on.
I think a season ticket increase is warranted. Anyway, I know a lot of people say like Tory walls and stuff, and you get all those, you get that brigade, but the money,
supply and demand as well, man. Like no disrespect to some fans, but first of all, genuinely not really be bothered because they got 10,000 other people on a season ticket waiting list waiting. Okay, 2,000 of them might look at the price and think, nah, I'm all right, but I'm pretty sure another 5,000-6,000 people are going to be biting your hand off for a season ticket.
If you've got a product where demand outweighs supply, then you'd be daft not to increase. I think they've got to be sensitive around it because football fans are still working class. Some would argue it's not a working class sport anymore. Well, it's not. But I think a slight increase. I mean, you look at this season when it was increased, it was uproar for about 3 days, and then people paid and fucking forgot about it. So it's. I think if they weather the initial storm of the increase, then people will still renew anyway. It's FOMO, isn't it? Do you want to miss out on... I mean, even if they put it up by 200 quid, I'd still be like, I'll pay for it. Because how much extra are you willing to pay for an adult season ticket in the South Bank?
See, I tend to do it as direct debit anyway, which I'm sure a lot of people do. What is it? What was it? This is about 450 quid, I think, for an adult season ticket.
I think mine was $550. I'll just check.
Something like that. But I don't know if you divide it by the direct debits. I don't think it takes as much as a kick between the legs. You know what I mean? But I think if you're reaching towards your 700-800 quid, I think I'd still pay for it. I think it's just going to be a little bit more frustrating, isn't it? And almost a lot more pressure on the club and the team to succeed. I think if you're increasing it, I'm not expecting you to not expecting the club to put it up by 400 quid. By the way, this was just what was it?
493 in the Billy Wright lower. 514 behind both goals.
Yeah.
I think you put me cock on the block here. I reckon 600 quid.
What, for next season?
Or 575, yeah.
For next season, yeah. I think it'll go up about 50 quid, something like that. Which is, it's just one of them, innit?
I'll be like, that's
£2 quid a game.
Outrageous. Let me go and get my card.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, final question. I mean, we've got 2 on transfers, which is so hard to answer, especially this time of year. But Wonders News 1 says top 3 targets for you guys. Tyler again says in the summer transfer window, who and what positions do you want us to sign? I'll simplify that, Matt, and say if we had to sign 3 players, what positions would you sign them in?
I would sign. I'll say it every time. Bakary Samar from.
Oh, here he goes again. I knew I should start talking more podcast bingo. Yeah.
From Lille, I think a centre half is paramount. I mean, we should be linked with some more Olympiacos players. That'd be nice.
Number 2 centre halves linked recently.
Yeah. I think centre.
Shall I add another one to the bingo? I'm going to throw a name out there.
Roberto Martinez.
It's a gem every time.
I think a spine, a striker, a centre half, a centre midfielder.
I think I'd agree. Right wing back as well, possibly.
Yeah, I mean that link with the lad from Bremen. Is it? He's Bremen, isn't the winger?
Oh, Vashika.
Yeah, I mean
or something.
That'd be tasty. That if Adama goes to Bayern, so. Yeah, I think a new spine.
If you had to genuinely sell Adama, a bid came in and you were like, oh, I've got to accept that. What would be the sort of minimum value genuinely?
65, 70 million
for Adama.
Yeah,
So I'd probably agree with you for that amount of money. A lot of people probably listen like, what? But I think in terms of market value and what the club value him as, are both obviously completely different things. Whenever we tweet something like that on Twitter, people are expecting 100 to 150 million, which is never achievable. You'd probably be able to get Neymar for that much money.
Especially, I don't think we'll be seeing players going for 150 million anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Not for a while.
But at the same time, 30 million for him is too cheap for a player that's impactful. So I think 60 to 75 million.
Not when you paid
probably
17, 18 for him as well.
Nah, of course.
I
don't know if I told you. I saw a thread on Facebook a few weeks ago, and basically a guy was listing all the Wolves players every day, or on a separate post saying, what would you sell? If sort of bid came in, what would you sell these players at? And the one in particular that I saw was Johnny Otto. And someone said, yeah, I'd sell him for 15 million. I said, bro, we literally paid 18 million pounds for him. Like, why are you going to sell our best left wing back and arguably one of the better fullbacks in the league for less than what you purchased for him like last year? So, I think market value, club value, and just people's brains just don't exist for
my mate said today, he's Everton fan. He likes Spanish football. I don't know where I'm going with.
One of them.
But is it Mariano at Atletico Madrid, the striker?
Real Madrid he played for. The guy from like Dominican Republic.
He played at Lille, I think. Leon.
Mariano. Oh, Mariano. There is a Mariano that I know, but he plays for Real Madrid. Striker.
Yeah, he's a striker. Is it Mariano Diaz?
Wait, Mariano, Atletico Madrid.
No,
Mariano Pernia.
It'll be the one who's at Real Madrid. He was like, I'm surprised at you.
Diaz.
I'm surprised you aren't him for him. Because they sold him and then brought him back for like 30 million, but he was
the Dominican Spanish footballer. This guy, yeah.
I don't know what he based that off, but
he played for Leon, yeah.
I can just see him playing at Wolves, so you never know. He
played for Badalona, as if they were a team as well. Brilliant, Badalona. Possibly.
He scored bare at Leon. Scored loads of goals.
18 in 37 in league. That's not bad. But yeah. What's his name? Mariano, remember the name. Yeah. That is the end of this instalment of the Talking Wolves podcast, guys. As always, let us know your thoughts, whether you're watching on YouTube in the comment section down below. If you're on Spotify, iTunes, leave a review or drop us a tweet or Facebook post on Talking Wolves. Obviously, all the links and stuff are in the descriptions. And of course, remember to check out Pitch Football app on the iTunes App Store or the Play Store. You can check it out. You can pick your teams. If you're one of these guys that likes to pick the teams and put it on Twitter as well, it's a great app for that sort of thing.
Haven't done it for a while,
ahead of fixtures. Yeah, fingers crossed it'll be back soon. And obviously,
they are doing like a virtual thing as well at the minute, like virtual games. So be sure to check them out.
If you are stuck on your football, definitely. Matt, thanks for joining me. Where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram, mcooper. You can also now find me on LinkedIn. Now I'm jobless. Matthew Cooper, if anyone's got any marketing jobs coming up, please. mcooper on Twitter and Instagram.
And you can find me at Twitter, Dave Azopardi, AZZOPARDI. And obviously Talking Wolves at Talking Wolves everywhere. But yeah, guys, thanks a lot for listening. Stay safe, stay indoors, and I'm sure we'll see you all very, very soon.